Welcome to another Mod Shapes. My name is Alex Steele, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about using soap molds to cast resin. I have an experiment. Full disclosure up front, I feel that this is a failed experiment, but I like to share my results with you anyway, and just kind of give a breakdown of what I did. The idea of printing a skeletal foot and then casting it in resin, and I attempted several times to do that. One of my attempts included a PLA frame, tape, and casting resin, and it came out pretty good. A thermogenic reaction with resin itself was so intense that it melted some of the PLA, which made the frame. And so I was going to cut this back down and square it up on either a bandsaw, which when that failed and destroyed the blade of my bandsaw, I moved over to a chop saw and also ran into problems with that. This resin is extremely hard, very difficult to cut. So I went back to the drawing board. I found these soap molds and I thought, I'll print the foot a little smaller and I'll give this a shot. Now I did this twice. What I found with the soap molds first is that I really needed to use mold release. I didn't. So I realized very early on in the process that I shouldn't pour the second bit of resin, that I should try to pop that out of the mold. So I had to cut around as close as I could to the perimeter and really push the resin out. For the second attempt, I used a mold release. That also failed. I had to mangle the soap molds to remove them. During this process of testing, I experimented a little bit with taking some color shift acrylic paint and mixing it into the resin. And that result is pretty interesting. So this one, if you can see this picture, part of this is alcohol inks. The other part is acrylics. Back to the foot. Now, the second casting of the foot was almost good, but for some reason, even though I had tried to smooth it over a bit and pour resin and put resin in between the toes, somehow there was this huge air bubble that came up, and it really damaged the way this turned out. Now, I'm pretty happy so far. It's not the best casting. I don't have a pressure pot, and so that probably contributed to a lot of the bubbles. But that is the result so far. So here's my take. If you're casting resin into a soap mold, use mold release. No matter what you do, you must use mold release. But be prepared to destroy the mold to get your casting out, because that's what I had to do. I would be very curious if anyone out there is doing vacuum forming with some kind of plastics and you're using resin to cast in there. Give me a comment. I'm real curious about that. I'd like to explore that a little further. In fact, down the line, I plan on making a DIY vacuum forming machine. There's no reason to spend money when we can create our own. Well, that's it for this one. I hope you liked it. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps me a lot. Any feedback on this channel is welcome and appreciated. And I'll see you guys and gals on the next one.